Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from MotherNerd and says, I, 25 female, am expected to take my husband and son, 4, to my father's family Christmas party tonight. My mother makes me miserable every year during this party. For whatever reason, my mother has always felt the need to show off in front of my father's family. This frequently results in her throwing me under the bus if it will make her look better or more important. She constantly talks over me or for me in front of them, takes things out of my hands, lies about things I have or have not done, etc. This got significantly worse after the birth of my son. During the annual Christmas party, she has ripped him out of my hands, pushed me to the side when he's gotten upset for any reason, undermines me if I need to discipline him while there, etc. She prepared his plates of food, changed his diapers, etc. Now my husband and I own our own house, pay our own bills, and raise our son together. Yet my father's side of the family believes that I am a deadbeat mother that doesn't take care of their child because of the show my own mother puts on every year. My father's side of the family has very little to do with me because of this, and I only see them during the holidays. I do not want to go and live through this again this year. My anxiety is through the roof, stressing out over it, and all I've heard for the past several days from my own mother is that my father will be crushed if I refuse to spend time with his family. I love my father and don't want to hurt or disappoint him, but every year I leave the party on the verge of tears from anger and humiliation at the hands of my mother. My mother has also been talking it up to my son and getting him excited to get a present. I don't want him to think he's being punished if we don't go. My husband has said the decision whether to go or not is completely up to me. This would be his first year attending, as his work schedule conflicted with the party in the past. I could really use some advice if anyone has been in a similar situation. I know that I don't want to go, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do or if I should just suck it up and deal with it again. Now for me, I think you've just got two options here. First option is you just don't go. You said you don't want to go, so I can't blame you for not going. The second option is to confront your mother and tell her how she's been making you feel and what it's caused. And it feels like that's the simple thing for me. You could either do one of those or go and make yourself miserable, which I strongly suggest you do not do. But a throwaway account says, sure mum, I'll come, but we really need to talk about some new deal breakers for me. These include stealing my baby, lying about me or my family, undermining my discipline methods. I'm putting you on notice that if you engage in any of these behaviors, I will immediately leave the party. Then go to the party, be your adorable and awesome self, be sweet and kind and happy. Also be vigilant for your mother to drop a deal breaker. The very first one, pack up and say, Mum, we talked about this. X is a deal breaker activity and I've already told you I won't stick around for it. Bye everyone. Sorry I have to go, but Mum insists on doing X. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. If your son is upset, tell him he didn't do anything wrong. Grandmama misbehaved and this is a timeout. Jesse Castone says, oh, this is an easy one. Don't go. I say that lightheartedly. I understand that relationships with parents are complicated, so it doesn't seem that easy. But type up an email explaining that you are not coming. Include the reasons if you want, or just simply say you aren't coming, and then turn off your phone for a few hours. I promise, as soon as you hit send, you'll breathe a huge sigh of relief. Personally, I think it would be good for her to hear why you aren't coming and also to let your father know that it isn't because you don't want to see him. It would also be good for your father so that he can understand just how destructive his wife's actions have been and how unhelpful he has been in standing up for you. But you don't have to even get into that if you don't want to. You can solve this problem all the same by simply not attending. If your father is a good man, he'll understand. He may be hurt, but not nearly as bad as your mother hurts you when you attend. Your son's world won't end because he doesn't get a present from a narcissistic and borderline abusive grandma. You'll have a lovely holiday with your son and husband, and you'll feel a whole lot better about yourself. And one more comment from Sweet Little Baby who says, I would just say to my mother I'm not coming, for these reasons, and then list them. Then the most important part, don't go. Your father's side of the family thinks you suck anyway, so why bother? Tell your dad that you've told him about the problems your mother is creating and you aren't going to put up with it anymore. Unless he and your mother make some serious changes, like make sure to tell his family you are not a deadbeat, I wouldn't waste my time or energy with these shitty people. As far as your son is concerned, you just tell him that you aren't going this year. Instead, the three of you do something fun and Christmassy like gingerbread house building or making cookies. So OP updates the post and says, after reading all of your advice and talking with my husband more, I decided that you were all right and that I had to stand up to my mother and put my foot down. She showed up at our house at the time we were supposed to be leaving for the party. I told her that I wasn't doing it this year and we weren't going. She got down on her knees. I leveled with my son and told him that I wouldn't let him go to the party where there would be presents, other kids to play with, and Santa. He said that's awfully mean of mummy and burst into tears. I was beyond livid. I told her that was an extremely inappropriate thing to do to a 4-year-old. She handed my son an ice cream that she had bought for him and told me, on her way out the door, that choosing not to go to the party for my father was a big mistake. I had to console my son and try to explain to him that Grandma had done something wrong and that he was not in trouble, but at least we didn't go to the damn party. A serious conversation with my parents will be had and her behavior will change, or she will see significantly reduced contact with us. Edit. Wow, this really blew up overnight. It would take me forever to address each comment, so I'll do a bit up here. In regards to consoling my son after the incident, my husband and I sat down with him and told him very plainly that what Grandma had done was very wrong. We told him that she had hurt him in order to hurt me, and that what's going on between Grandma and me is not his fault. We stressed that he was not in trouble. Then we spent the rest of the evening playing games, having snacks, and doing our own little party. He will be attending a Christmas party with my husband's family in a few days. This by no means fixes the damage my mother caused, but we're trying and will continue to try. My father was absent, sitting in the car during this exchange as he usually is. He works late hours and when he's home, he's asleep. I suspect this is a way to avoid my mother, but it makes it very difficult for me to talk to him without her there as well. For those of you saying no contact, at this time no contact is not possible. The house we own is several towns over. We listed it for sale when my husband got a new job, as that house is too far of a commute for him. But now we are living in a place owned by my parents while trying to sell our house. I can't forbid her from coming over onto her own property. As of today, we are looking at apartments to move into after the first of the year until the house sells. Once the house sells, we'll be putting about an hour's drive between us and my mother. It's not far as I would like to go, but we still want to remain within a reasonable distance to my mother-in-law. Unless something drastic changes between now and our move, no contact will go into effect at that time. In the meantime, she will not have any alone time at all with my son. My husband only witnessed the very end of the conversation yesterday and was beyond furious when I filled him in after she left. He went through a similar situation with his father. His father has been in no contact for over a year now. So my husband knows exactly what I'm going through and is being fantastic. Last night was extreme, even for her. She has a very overbearing personality and acts like a spoiled child, but she does not openly manipulate on a regular basis. And this was the first time she intentionally made my son cry as a means to control me. This by no means is an attempt to excuse her actions. What she did was disgusting and cannot be allowed to happen again. Some of you, however, have gotten the impression that I passively stand by and let this happen on a daily basis. I most certainly do not. So there were some comments on that update with replies as well. Roylick says, just to kind of rub away that bad memory for your son, have you thought about taking him over to see a mall Santa? The good ones are really nice and will reassure him that he'll be getting presents, just in case he's dwelling on missing out on Santa. Your mum sounds horrible. I wouldn't let any kids be alone with her. Opie says he's already been to see Santa twice this year and received a letter in the mail from him. Thankfully this party wasn't meant to be his big Santa trip. We'll definitely mail him another letter to let him know at the very least. If it still seems to bother him, then I'm sure we can make a trip to the mall. Overriding that bad memory with a better reassuring one is really good advice. And Moosey says, your mother's actions are insane, not to mention inexcusable. Are you too stunned to even process them, or are you just used to this kind of behavior from her? Because it's not normal, it's not acceptable, and for your son's sake, I would cut her right out. Opie says I'm fairly used to this kind of show from her, though this was exceptionally nasty. More often than not she's fine, although overbearing, but every once in a while she goes way too far. I thought this kind of relationship was pretty normal until I met my mother-in-law and realized that not all mums focus on guilt trips. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story with an update, which comes from Ignisaurus from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for ignoring my sister and threatening to move out because she keeps calling me an incel? My 23 male younger sister, 15 female, is currently on a phase where she thinks she's the most unique and special person in the world. Because of this, she's also developed some sort of superiority complex against other people's hobbies, and especially if she doesn't like them. The problem started when she started to use the word incel to insult me and my hobbies out of nowhere. She seemed to notice that this word hurts and disturbs me, and she keeps calling me an incel just to elicit a reaction from me. I'm playing a video game, I'm an incel. I'm watching anime, I'm an incel. I'm building a Gundam, I'm an incel. I've talked to her about it and asked her if she knows the meaning. She knows it perfectly well and she thinks that I fit the description well. I asked her why she thinks so and she tells me she just knows that I'm an incel. Because of that, I've been ignoring her. This seems to piss her off because she began to annoy me on another level, such as pulling my headphones off just to call me an incel, and even just using incel as a general nickname for me. I talked to my parents last night and told them that if they don't do anything about her behavior towards me, then I will move out of the house. My dad and I pay 50-50 for everything because his salary alone can't sustain all of the bills. My mum is a volunteer worker in an animal shelter and refuses to seek a job because we come from a culture where men are expected to be the sole providers. My mum justifies my sister's behavior as just being a typical teenager and is begging me to be more understanding because I'm the older and more mature one. My dad, on the other hand, knew that I was serious and agreed that they need to punish my sister. I don't like ultimatums, but I feel like I don't have other choices anymore. I don't want to yell at my sister or even fight with her because I know that it will simply make her attitude worse towards me. Now, this is not the arsehole for me, and I can understand you getting fed up with that sort of language towards you. And quite frankly, your parents need to step in and be parents in this case. It sounds like you're doing your parents more of a favor in this situation when you could just move out and have your own peace and quiet. But the commenter says, tell your mum that if she's going to justify your sister's behavior as being a typical teenager, that you're going to start taking the behavior of a typical 23-year-old and move out. Remind her that without your income, things close up real quick. See how she feels about abiding such typical behavior on half the normal money. I think Ocelot says, not the arsehole, your mother is raising your sister to be an insufferable shit. Make both of them eat it by having to get jobs. Have to let your father move in with you if he and your mother divorce, in my honest opinion. And one more comment from Divine Tarot who says, not the arsehole. The irony of the situation is that if your mother keeps indulging your sister's verbally abusive shit, then she'll be the last generation in the family that encourages the wives don't work policy. After all, you'll pursue an actually independent wife if you do, all to avoid having someone dependent and disrespectful like your sister hanging off your wallet. And your sister's going to be an involuntary celibate due to being unappealing to any, save but the worst kind of man. So OP comes in around 3 weeks later to give their update and says, shortly after I gave my ultimatum, my dad punished my sister by taking away everything that I paid for, like her laptop, her phone, her PC, and her Switch. He told her that this is your life without your brother, and basically stored them away somewhere that even I don't know. Since then, my sister became even more aggressive towards me. She calls me daddy's boy, snitch, coward, and many other names whenever we pass by each other, both in public and at home. She even started to throw things at me unprovoked when I'm not looking. They were soft things like towels, socks, stuffed toys, or handkerchiefs, but still. My mum keeps making excuses for her, and even freaking consoled her when she was crying over her things being taken away. That was when I fully realized and accepted that she was my mum's favorite. When I finally told my dad that I wanted to move out, he was understanding. He kept apologizing to me for not doing anything earlier because he was always at work. He's now making up to me by helping me look for an affordable renting space. My mum, on the other hand, didn't take it very well. She's extremely cold to me now. She told me that I'm abandoning her. According to my dad, she cries every night because she can't accept the fact that I'm moving out. For now, I'm temporarily staying with a kind friend. My dad encouraged me to detach myself from my mum and my sister as soon as possible. When I told him that, she started to throw stuff at me. I don't think I would be having any sort of relationship with my mum or sister anytime in the future. I do feel really bad for my dad for having to deal with my mum and my sister alone. Thank you for the kind comments in my original post. This is probably the last time that we'll talk about this issue. Someone asks Opie in the comments, they said, can you ask your dad for the stuff you paid for so you can sell it? Opie says, I told my dad that he can give back the things I bought for her only if she shows real remorse or genuinely apologizes to me. If nothing changes until January 1st, then I might take you up on your advice and just keep everything to myself or sell them. My dad's being a real champ right now for wanting to pay for the first 2 months worth of rent, despite me telling that he doesn't need to. I have my own savings after all. He feels really guilty for not being able to notice my sister's behavior towards me for so long, and he thinks it's the least he could do for me. Someone says your dad needs a divorce. Opie says I'd be happy if he could. Unfortunately, divorce isn't legal in the Philippines, so he's basically stuck with my mum for the remainder of his life. Opie responded to a deleted comment and said, I live in the Philippines where even up to 5 generations of families live under one roof. In fact, it's expected for children to take care of and financially support their parents and their grandparents as soon as they have their own jobs. Therefore, me living with my parents at my age is the most normal thing in my culture. And I don't pay rent. It's our house. I don't rent there. I pay for all the bills since I have a bigger salary than my dad, while my dad buys all the groceries. My mum does not work and she doesn't want to work. I still respect my mum despite her obvious favoritism towards my sister. She's still my mother after all. My sister, not anymore. Also, I truly hope you have very sophisticated, manly, and adult-like hobbies because you keep insulting the things I like to do. OP responds to another deleted user and says, I'm a teacher, so teenagers being pieces of crap every day are normal to me. However, I don't want the same behavior in my own home. I don't want to deal with the same teenage tantrums that I've been dealing with at work, especially when I'm trying to rest or just minding my own business. At school, I have some sort of authority over the teens that I'm handling. I can call their parents, the guidance counselor, or anyone who could correct their behavior. But at home, I don't have that same authority. I'm just her brother. I can't force her to behave and my mum doesn't do anything to correct her behavior either. I've had a heart-to-heart talk with my mum and she thinks that my sister is innocent. She thinks that my sister is just joking. She genuinely doesn't think she needs to discipline my sister. I get that siblings being annoying are normal. However, my sister, as well as many other teenagers, is old enough to know that her actions have consequences. Not only that, but her words can ruin me and my career. I will work at the same school my sister is enrolled in. I'm considering transferring to another school. What if she calls me an incel in front of my students? What if she spreads false rumors about me abusing her if I ever discipline her? What if she ever tells people that I force her to do things against her will? Do you know how devastating that could be for me? And on the back of that, someone asks how many years does the sister have left at that school? Opie says thankfully she only has until May and June, until she has to move to a different school for senior high. Despite the small time frame, I'm still considering transferring to another school. And good on for OP for getting themselves out of that situation. I can't believe that like the mum is basically double downing on this and the whole thing about divorce being illegal is absolutely wild to me. There was a comment below which is quite upvoted and said, Filipino here too. 2 of my uncles, dad and aunt has been supporting 3 generations of the family. This is now passed down to my kuya, older bro in language, who has a great job, but due to him supporting his brother, kids and everyone else, he feels guilty of marrying. Thankfully, a good number of the family we support just really fell on hard times and are grateful and make good of the financial assistance we give them. But man, the respect your elders, parentification, as a hard indoctrination part of a culture is super toxic. There's literally a subreddit for it, and I'm probably going to butcher this so I do apologize, but r/Hanganai support group. Someone like OP and his dad in the Philippines is very rare. The type to put healthy boundaries. The guilt-tripping culture of always respecting parents no matter what is what holds back a lot of kids being raised in toxic environments to move out grown independently. Divorce. That has been a request by the masses for decades. But due to Catholicism and other Christian groups, the Philippines is the only Asian country with no divorce. The sister, I feels superior and is doing this for clout. But without her brother to feed her need to bully, I wonder where she would direct this to. Hopefully not the dad. And obviously I don't know the full ins and outs of the Philippines, I'm just literally reading comments here, but if you have your own information and your own stories regarding it, I would love to hear it down in the comments below. Like learning new things to do with it, like this whole divorcing and not being able to divorce. I find that, you know, sad, but fascinating at the same time. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. You just don't, still